In the middle of the Piazza Santa Maria Maggiore, the square in front of the church, stands a column with a Baroque bronze statue of Mary and Child. It was erected in 1614 by Pope Paul V in thanksgiving for the remission of the plague. The column was taken from the Basilica of Maxentius at the Roman Forum. The statue was created by the French sculptor Julien Berthelot. Over the centuries, the church has undergone many changes. The facade with its two-story arcade was added in 1743. The 75-meter bell tower, the tallest in Rome, was built in 1377, shortly after the popes returned from their exile in Avignon. The pyramidal spire was added much later, in the early 16th century. The 1743 facade covers an older 12th century facade decorated with mosaics added in the late 13th century, and the mosaics are still visible. The back of the church faces the Piazza del Esquilino. The obelisk was erected in 1587 as a beacon for pilgrims. It was originally located near the entrance to the mausoleum of Augustus. This wide staircase leads to the apse of the church. View of the portico. To the right is the statue of Philip IV of Spain, and to the left is the Porta Sancta. Philip IV of Spain granted a perpetual yearly donation to the church. The statue was designed by Bernini and created in 1692 by Girolamo Lucenti. The Porta Sancta, or Holy Door, is only opened during the Jubilee year, once every 25 years. The Basilica of Saint Mary Major is best known for its magnificent interior, which still resembles that of an ancient basilica. It has a length of almost 66 meters and is divided into 3 naves by 36 Ionic columns of marble and granite. The Athenian marble columns supporting the nave are the oldest parts of the church. They either come from the first basilica or from an antique Roman building. The triumphal arch is fully decorated with golden mosaics from the 5th century that depict scenes from the early life of Christ. The first in the upper left shows the Annunciation with Mary robed like a Roman princess. Below it we can see the scene of the adoration of the Magi. At the apse, below the triumphal arch, is the papal altar covered by an ornate baldachin. The baldachin is supported by 4 ancient columns that were taken from the Villa of Hadrian in Tivoli. The apse is decorated with a magnificent mosaic created in 1295 by Jacopo Torriti. It depicts the crowning of Mary, with Christ and Mary seated on a throne and accompanied by saints. The high altar of this patriarchal basilica is a papal altar, used only by the Pope himself, or a priest given specific permission by him. It is traditional for the Pope to lead a Mass here on the feast of the Assumption of Mary, every August 15th. Before the main altar are the stairs that lead to the confession or reliquary crypt that contains the sacred relic of the Holy Crib. The statue of a kneeling Pope Pius IX located before the reliquary. The crypt is built to resemble the cave of the Nativity in Bethlehem. The precious crystal urn trimmed in silver through which one can venerate the relic. In 1995, a new rose window in stained glass was created for the main facade. To symbolize the Old Testament, Hagnall used the 7-branched candlestick, and for the New Testament, the chalice of the Eucharist. Above the columns, right below the windows, is a row of mosaics from the early 5th century. The mosaics depict 36 scenes from the Old Testament. Another highlight in the basilica is the beautiful coffered ceiling, created in the 16th century. It is said to be gilded of gold that was brought from the Americas by Christopher Columbus and presented to Pope Alexander VI by the Spanish king. The Cappella Borghese, also known as the Cappella Paolina, was built later in 1611 by Flaminio Ponzio. The chapel is named after Pope Paul V Borghese. According to legend, the Madonna in the Borghese chapel, the Salus Populi Romani, was painted by the evangelist Lucas and completed by angels. More likely, it was created in the Middle Ages, probably around the 13th century. The most famous figure buried in the church of St. Mary Major is young Lorenzo Bernini, one of the greatest artists in history. Very much aware of his own greatness, Bernini designed a monumental tomb for himself during the last decade of his life. Disappointingly, the tomb was never built, and a simple gravestone now marks the grave of Bernini and his family members.